Well, I'm sure all of you are wondering, why did Jesus tell this little parable about me? Oh, well, you see, this is the little story is what is known in the Gospel of Luke is really about me. Well, it's not really about me, but it's about someone else, and that someone is, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Nathan, and yes, I am, as you call, the dishonest manager or the unjust steward. Rather regal-sounding titles, don't you think? Maybe I should run for county commissioner or something, huh? No? No? Well, but yes, this story is really all about me and what happened to me with my master. Oh, the stories I could tell you about my master. One of the most wise and most powerful men in all of our village. The older men deferred to him. The younger men followed him around like little birds clucking after their mama. Everyone loves and respects my master. He is wise. He's rich. The most important thing about my master, he's merciful. But me, my friends, I am a scoundrel. A man who has his fingers in everybody's pie. There's no business deal that goes on within 50 stadia of this village that I don't have my fingers in or an interest in. No, I make my share of money. Not that I'm bragging, mind you. Well, yes, maybe I am bragging a little. And what's wrong with that? Why not? Just because I'm a shrewd businessman, should I be ashamed? Of course not. Why, even Jesus used me in this parable, in this story. Although maybe not for the reason you think. We'll get to that. You're going to have patience. You're not going to be going anywhere for a little while, right? You're going to be hanging around. Oh, good, very good. So, why me? Why the scoundrel? Well, I have to tell you, I'm not the only one, you know. You know, Jesus talked about other scoundrels and other rascals in some of the other parables he told. It's true. You remember the story about the unjust judge who neither feared God or feared man, but finally gave in to this poor widow because she kept hounding him night and day and finally ruled in her favor? That judge was one of my cousins. What about the neighbor who wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night to give bread to his neighbor who had company come? That was my brother Asher. Oh, don't get me started about him. But surely you remember the story that Jesus told about the man who found the treasure hidden in another man's field, and he hides it again, and then he goes and sells everything he has and buys it right out from underneath the unknowing seller. That was my uncle Benjamin. I inherited his business sense and my father's dashing good looks, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, in the Bible, I'm not alone. There are plenty of other scoundrels and rogues and miscreants talked about in the Bible. Matthew, you remember, was a tax collector. Oh. The thing of it is, when Jesus tells stories about us scoundrels, it's not really about us. Clever, huh? You see, by telling this story, by telling you something about a dishonest manager, you're actually learning something about God. You get to see His heart and how He operates. You see, by telling you about my master, maybe you will learn something about your master. But here's my story. Business was booming for my master, and I was the keeper of his accounts. Now, the majority of his wealth is tied up in land, which he rented out to farmers in exchange for a percentage of the crop. And as the rental agent for my master, I handled all the accounting, all the contracts, all of those things. It was customary to receive a small gratuity from the farmers. Nobody would object to that. Well, turns out I was doing a little bit more than was customary. And it was from the master's portion. And somebody found out about it. They ratted me out. No. They went and told the master about my sticky fingers and about my fuzzy accounting, and I was caught. I believe in your day and age you would say I was busted. Well, Master called me in. I said absolutely nothing. I mean, anything I had to say would not be for my benefit, so I just kept quiet. He said, "What is this I hear about you?" The master said, "Hand in the accounts of your management. You can no longer be my manager." He fired me right on the spot. With just those short words, my life is totally turned upside down. I went from this nice job with a comfortable desk to the really real prospect of having absolutely nothing. Well, most people in the village would say, "Serves you right, Nathan. It's high time you got yourself a real job. Stop, grafting off of your master. Pick up a shovel and go to work. Pick up a sickle and go help with the harvest." Alas, I'm just not that strong. Years of accounting work, has left me, I wouldn't last that long as a field worker. I have too much pride to resort to begging. You see, I'm not about to do that. So, and do you think that once the word gets out that my master has fired me, that anyone else will have me as manager for their farm? Not on your life. Things didn't look good. But do you remember that I said that my master was merciful? Well, yes, he fired me, but there was more that he could have rightfully done and didn't. He could have had me thrown into prison right there. He could have seized all my possessions and had them sold to pay the debt. He could have had me sold as a slave, but he didn't. He showed incredible mercy. And that mercy gave me time to act. Now, I knew exactly what I had to do, and when I had to do it, I had this short window of time to do it. You see, I had to act before the word got out that the master had fired me. Otherwise, no one would listen. So, I cooked the books. This time, in favor of those who owed my master money. Now, Luke records exactly what I did. Here's what it is. He said, summoning his master's debtors one by one, he said to the first, "How much do you owe to my master?" This is me they're talking about. He said, 100 measures of oil. He said to him, "Take your bill, sit down quickly and write 50. Then he said to another, "How much do you owe?" 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, "Take your bill and write 80. Now why do this? Strange. You see, by doing such a thing, I have now placed my master in a most difficult situation. You understand? No, let me explain. Here's what happened. You see, the word hadn't gotten out that I had been fired. So all the farmers assumed that I was acting on behalf of my master. Well, I didn't correct them. You see, now everyone in the village will praise and will thank my master for being kind and generous to his renters. And that means, well, he can't very well fire me now in front of everybody and undo what he's done. He'll lose all respect in the village. So in public, the master commends me for being so shrewd. I may have saved my job, but now even if the master fires me, he'll have to do it quietly so that none of the other villagers will know. And then somebody will take me in to manage for them. Very clever, huh? Yes, of course it is. Not bad for a scoundrel, right? But when Jesus tells you this story, there's more to understand. Did I mention my master is exceedingly merciful? You see, I played on his sense of mercy. That allowed me the time to do what I needed. It gave me the opportunity to save my skin and to win friends for myself should I happen to lose my job. Now, when you read through my story, you see that Jesus commends my example to you. Not that Jesus is saying that it's okay to be dishonest at work or school. Heavens no. Jesus isn't saying it's okay to defraud other people as long as you're clever about it. Not at all. Don't be ridiculous. But there are two things that I think our Lord Jesus would want you to know. First of all, I used my position as a manager and the money that went with it to bring glory to my master. In the same way, Jesus would want me to use our money, our God-given wealth for godly purposes, purposes that bring Him honor and glory. then others will see that this master is generous and kind and loving and forgiving. We use unrighteous mammon so that your church, your family, your neighborhood, I believe you call them suburbs, which is a very strange word to me, but, for everyone, that everyone from here to the ends of the earth can hear and then know and then believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and that by believing you may have life in His name. Telling the story of Jesus is the mission, and the mission must go forward. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a second thing. The second thing that Jesus, I think, would have us know here. Rely on the mercy of your master. If not for my master's mercy, I would have been in prison and most likely would have died there. It was only by His mercy that it saved me. So you too, as you live, as you work, as you breathe, as you move, you do so filled with the mercy of God in Jesus Christ. When you look at the face of Jesus, you are looking at the living face of God's mercy. Mercy that forgives sins. Mercy that welcomes you to His presence. Mercy that invites you to pour your heart and your soul out to Him in prayer. Mercy that forgives us and moves us to forgive one another. Remember this, one thing. The mercy of God is certain and it's complete. And it's closer to you than the hairs on your head. It's more real than your own skin. The mercy of God is a beautiful thing, my friends. It goes forward to all sorts of scoundrels and tax collectors and lepers and beggars and the mute and the blind and Gentiles and all of us. It makes them all shout, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is Jesus who comes in the name of our Lord. Yes. Yes, my friends. God's mercy in Jesus Christ is even for an old scoundrel like me. And Jesus